man is planning to spend the night outside of City Hall to bring attention to the city's unhoused population. Orlondo Otis Hundley is a 28-year-old Schenectady resident preparing to run for mayor in 2027. He says the city's homeless population seems to be growing. Otis Hundley uses Instagram and TikTok to spread his ideas for the city, using humor to connect. I spoke with Otis Hundley Friday about what he hopes viewers take from the overnight stay.
I met a number of people who live outside, like the library, the county building, and then a number of like our public office buildings, and then alongside, like any number of the vacant buildings on Lower State Street, more towards Scotia. And that's a startling reality because in Schenectady, that's like I've been here my entire life. I've never witnessed people sleeping outside the library to the extent that it's been happening. The library, even during the day, has become overwhelmed by people who are just getting a reprieve from the cold. So, like, it's really just about coming in contact with a bunch of people who are, scurrying from one warm place to another 24 hours. And, I'm going to be, spending, the night outside, just recording videos about a number of things that we're going to do policy-wise. If anyone comes to join me, that's great. But just to raise awareness and just do a full night of the content about the race and about the state that so many people find themselves in.
What do you hope the impact of your effort of being outside, recording videos, kind of stating your plans is? Who do you hope is listening, and what do you hope they take from it?
On multiple social media accounts, we have over 1 million views in a race that is so far off, and then also for the mayor of Schenectady, which is, we've taught more people how to say Schenectady than people live in Schenectady. And, we have a very, there's a lot of people listening, and, I really do hope that people take that, we have a number of vacant buildings that could be turned into heating and cooling centers. And that is my plan in 2027 and beyond, to turn a number of the vacant spaces that we have into lounge areas for the public and public restrooms, which are desperately needed. And, we reach everyone, no matter, just like posting the video. So it's just something that we can say that we did, to also raise awareness to the fact that what people health-wise experience when being exposed to either hot or cold temperatures, and how that leads into the mental health crisis that we're also simultaneously facing with, in this population. It's not easy to be, experiencing the cold for long periods of time. And then also to, bring awareness to the fact that we have a development authority named Metroplex that since 1998 has been able to collect $500 million and spent it on a revitalized downtown. And that downtown that they revitalized now currently occupies, a number of homeless people that can't even, find a place to be warm. And then also that, once again, another institution that, should not be being asked to, do what they are currently doing, but our public transit system is just like our libraries, is another system that finds itself, facing the fact that we have so many homeless people who need a warm place to be. So the main thing is that in the winter or at any point in time, we need spaces for human beings to get out of the elements and not be forced to experience these things because of a dollar, and that's really what it comes down to. So I walk around at night, because there's also people have a public safety concern about downtown Schenectady at nighttime. And I thought it's always been good, to show that even the people who are living outside, none of these people are dangerous. They just happen to be on hard times. And we need a mayor in Schenectady that understands that.
Of course, like you said, you're using your Instagram and TikTok platform to get your own message out, but also get the message of other people like the unhoused population in the city.
Yeah.
You have a unique advantage, while some politicians now are using social media a little bit more than has
Mhm.
previously been used in campaigns. You have a following, you have viewers. How do you think that is helping you support your message or get that message out? I have to say, me and my coworkers were discussing our conversation earlier today,
Mhm.
and we all had said, oh yeah, like I actually saw his video on my For You page, a week ago, a month
Wow.
ago.
Yeah. Well, so it initially started, like my approach to social media, like prior to this, I was doing very well with music. I was also reaching a lot of people internationally through my music accounts. But over the summer, I just like so many things just started hitting me about Schenectady, about the place I grew up and the place I love and the place I plan on spending the rest of my life. And I created the Mayor of Schenectady TikTok, and I that is such like I like to do things that are funny, so like initially, I make people laugh, and then, I try to give a certain amount of my insight. But the thing about the Mayor of Schenectady account, it's not just about, I'm not reaching people just because the account name is the Mayor of Schenectady. I'm in places that Schenectadians know. I'm talking about things that connect in Schenectady, because things that'll work in Schenectady will work across upstate New York, across the country. And just the understanding that we talk about this development, but development doesn't mean that people need to be pushed out of the city that they've known their entire life. And that's been the result of so much of it. So it's like I have, like I have a hard time describing it, but my ability and my history, whether it be organizing on the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2020, the number of things that took place in my high school career, at SEC during, when I was obtaining my criminal justice degree or working on, state assembly campaigns. I've always focused on public transportation. I've always talked about healthcare. I've always talked about housing, and these are things that I've experienced in real time. Coming in, almost being 30. So it's very easy for me to speak on these things, and the duality is that I know so many of the politicians that also speak about it. So the reason, a number of our officials, unfortunately, are private. They're private on Instagram, which I don't understand how that's possible. We have people who don't put themselves in front of people, and they don't put themselves in front of people because the message that they would be talking about, frankly, would probably be unpopular. And it's a lot of people have seen my content, and it's to the point where everyone knows what I'm talking about. And even when I'm funny, that just makes what I'm talking about, and the possibility of it so much realer. So I'm really only special because I'm talking about what I know, and I'm really speaking from the heart. And it's a lot of people already knew me. So many people already knew my face from so many, pathways of life, that when they saw I was running for mayor, it was just like, that's what propelled the content. It's location, it's verbiage, it's just all those things just coming together. And I'm just accepting it. It's great. I get stopped everywhere I go. It's a lot of love.
So you're talking about using comedy in your campaign, but also just using it as a way to connect with viewers on social media, which is often how people use social media. Do you think that some people will think that your campaign isn't serious because of that? Do you think that they'll think that you're just somebody using your platform to spread a message but not actually run for an office?
Yeah, no, I think people are taking me as one of the most serious candidates in a long time, and that's because I'm a genuine human being. My humor doesn't take away. Frankly, if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. So that's a big part of my just like internal, like just moments in my life. That's what I've learned, and I think it's you have to laugh at the fact that politicians who have taxpayer-funded healthcare don't want taxpayer-funded healthcare for taxpayers. And I've opened a lane. I have supporters in every walk of life, whether it be black, white, Asian, conservative, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, and it's because we are speaking a universal language of caring for people, and humor doesn't take away from that. People being serious about the fact that they would deprive you of housing because they want to side with corporate landlords or out-of-state corporations. People who are serious about the fact that Metroplex gets to bleed us for 50% of our sales tax every time a purchase is made in Schenectady County, and people are serious about allowing the crawl of gentrification that is funded by the tax dollars that I'm talking about. The things that I'm talking about are so serious that if I were serious all the time, frankly, I don't think anyone would ever listen. And I balance it. I don't know anyone else who can balance it better. And most people would genuinely be a laughingstock if they weren't able to balance it with real policy. If we weren't, I have at this moment one of the biggest videos on the New York State Healthcare Act as I'm running for mayor. So I'm doing great things for great initiatives statewide and for upstate New York and for the city of Schenectady. And people know that I'm very serious about the fact that so much of our policing is being at this moment automated, and they're funding that with a smile on their face, so it's the things that I'm talking about are so serious that I would alienate people if I were just talking about that. Me being funny, the people who don't want to take me serious will never take me serious. So I concern myself with speaking to people who, have joy in their life, who may be going through hard times, but don't only know hard times and are very prepared to work to make things better. And it's worked out brilliantly. Yeah.
Is there anything else our listeners should know about your campaign to bring awareness about the homeless community in Schenectady tonight outside of City Hall?
That I read about 3 years ago that 40% of homeless people have a job, and it's not just about the homeless population. It's about the real fact that when we are in the middle of winter, energy prices go up, and we are experiencing pricing and things going up, but the services and the things that we are getting are diminishing and disappearing. So it's about channeling our resources to solve real issues, and I'm glad to do it.
Orlondo Otis Hundley is preparing to run for mayor of Schenectady in 2027.